Good morning and welcome to episode 71 of the GYST Life Podcast. Today we talk about fighting the drift that you're experiencing versus embracing it. The second guessing yourself when you've taken a choice and you're moving forward on it. Overthinking what we know, what people are going through based on our first impressions, and assuming that we will know how it's going to go without context. So sit back, enjoy the show, and no doubt you'll get a lot from it.
Making a post, it's like a subconscious thing, right? Like when you see me bombing down Deerfoot and you hear like the clanging from underneath and like the louder engine and like I'm little and it's slow and the windshield's fucking busted, just get that you don't know my circumstances, okay?
My other ride's in the garage.
That's right. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just hilarious because... Go ahead.
There was we went to Bowness Park on Wednesday. So actually this week I spent a lot of time with my adopted sister, Katie. And we went to Bowness. We were going to go scooter and longboarding and all that. And there was a Lamborghini that was that turned off with us. And his license plate said 7-day weekend. I'm like, you
Dope.
fucker.
Dope.
7-day weekend.
Talk about sticking it in and breaking it off, eh? He's like, all you fucks. I'm what you call the top 1%, bitch. Enjoy yourself.
Oh man. It's a nice car.
Wow, 7-day weekend.
So just a really nice contrast to the blue bug.
Yeah, no
bombing
doubt.
Down the highway.
No doubt, man.
There's the white Lambo just not bombing, taking his time.
And what's interesting about that is I saw a post on Instagram and it showed like a little girl, like a shadow of a little girl, and then a dude who kind of looked like a punk rocker, and the punk rocker guy looked like he was giving her something, but then there's shadows on the back wall. Like she had a little horns and a devil tail, and he had like an angel wings and a halo. And it just said, never judge people. Like, don't judge people by their appearance. Mm-hmm. And what an interesting thing. Like, it's not like I'm some baller who's rolling in cash. But the point is like, it's easy to look at 7-day weekend guy or blue bomber guy going down, right? And be like, oh yeah, I totally got that guy's situation pegged. Like, I know this dude.
Totally.
He's obviously balling, loaded. He's got it going on. And the reality of it is just because he has a license plate that says 7-day weekend, we have no fucking clue what that guy's dealing with.
I have no idea. Although... given the context of 7-day weekend, like what that represents versus baller as the opposed
100%.
license plate,
100%.
I would say there's a level of awareness to that may be actually the case.
That points to something really interesting that was put back on the table for me again on Wednesday night in the money seminar. Vic,
right back full circle, by
right? The leader was talking about context versus content. Mm-hmm. I fucking love that, man.
Context is decisive, as they say.
Most people, including myself, here's an epiphany I had last night too, is when you look into somebody's eyes and when they're up to stuff or they're right? When they're speaking about something, right? There's a whole lot of wonderful content out there that you can discover that is good information to help you get your life. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And there's a huge difference. Like, it's subtle and it's huge. The difference between taking said information, strategies, ideas, whatever, and going out into the world and fucking it up royally and failing yourself and getting experience and then coming back and using the tools and all that, right? Internalizing that experience and then being able to speak to it. There's an entirely different, you know what I'm saying? So now you actually have the context of what it's going to take and what it all looks like versus
winning the lottery.
Yeah, versus winning the lottery, or again, just reading a book and then regurgitating a bunch of information and acting like you got it going on and not having actually taken at bats, like not actually having gotten out there.
You have the intellectual smarts, but you don't have the street smarts.
Totally. And most of my journey up until about, well, it doesn't even matter when in terms of timeline, but most of my journey, you know, it starts on the surface, right? And you the moment you start thinking you're getting something, considering you don't know shit. Like keep rolling because you haven't even got anywhere near.
That's been my experience of this week. I don't know anything, and nothing is as is predicted. How it might have looked, how I thought it might have gone. It's not gone that way in any way. To a measure. I mean, I've been very intentional, and it's through that intentionality that things have happened, but not knowing, for one, how it's going to go, not having experienced it, how could you possibly have a contingency plan? Because you have no idea what to expect. But if you have an idea of what to expect, context, now you can prep and plan for it in anticipation of. And I think that's the other real thing we forget about. It has us stop us do it again.
What's that?
Well, assuming that it's going to go one way or another and having no context
100%.
that it's more likely to go this way because you've never experienced it before.
Right.
And reading about it is one thing. Experiencing it is a whole other thing.
Absolutely. And you create a plan, right? And you want everything to go exactly as planned. And you don't even you don't consider in the plan, oh, wait a minute. What's likely is most of this isn't going to work out the way that we've planned it out. So who are we going to be when that stuff shows up? How are we going to deal with that, right?
Yeah, totally. It's such a more. Oh man. It's such a powerful context to look at how we get to show up as human being.
Yeah.
A really great, I think about this week. And so there was a number of times where I'm like, I should reach out to Vern. Like, send a message. Delete. I probably did that 4 times. Like, it'll figure itself out.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, it always does in its own way. It always figures itself out.
Right. But it's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to suffer for a while first before I...
Yeah, I'm going to let this bag weigh real heavy on me first.
Yeah, I thought we had an agreement.
Oh, I'm sure we did. The guy who was running the show kind of vetoed that agreement. He's like, no. And I should have just pressed send.
Yeah, I get it.
But that is just how it goes, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes when you're dealing with something, it feels like, what's the point of like, this is pretty stupid. This is pretty minor.
Yeah, I should have this sorted out. It's not.
Yeah, and the reality of it is that doesn't matter because whatever it is that you're dealing with isn't real anyway. So you may as well put it out there, be like, hey, I know this sounds stupid, but like XYZ, right? And it's just like, just get it out.
Yeah.
And once you get it out, you start to realize how ridiculous it is anyway.
Well, and you get to reframe, and when you have the type of listening from the other side that really hears what's being said, but also understands what's going on, we're able to create context for the other human being.
Right.
Because right now in that moment, context is non-existent. I'm in my extreme, and it is how it's going.
100%. And that's all inside of actually, being willing to be known. Like you and I have exposed ourselves to each other. Do what you want with that soundbite. But no, you know what I'm saying, right? Like we've opened up and said, like, dude, this is like me. This is what I'm dealing with, or whatever. I was gonna say we've gotten pretty raw with each other.
Yeah, let's keep the puns to a minimum.
Where is this going, man? Okay, so
this is an audio podcast, by the way.
Yeah, it's like people like, yeah, for real though. And I made a post about that yesterday. In service of being known and putting things out there and really just own what it means to own your shit. And
one of the things that I'm planning to spend time on to get a more clear understanding of is who I am as an external experience. Like, how are people perceiving me now, no longer associated to company X,
right?
Because that's how it's been for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I'm a designer, I'm a creative, I'm a strategist, whatever it was. I'm part of X company. And I was able to identify through the organization and not, there was like who I was in my role, but it was secondary. My primary was in driving awareness of said company, right?
Right.
What we're up to as a group. And now I get to look at it from a place of how do I show up solely as consultant David, right? Just to loosely, who am I in the world? How am I being of service? What am I doing? I've done an insane amount of work on that front, and I'm scared to shitless about it. Like now I'm truly exposed. Oh, it's David, not company X, company Y, not any of that stuff. It's David.
Yeah, this is perfect, man. This is actually more what the post was about as well. Is who do you surround yourself with? Like who to your?
Gotta ask that all the time.
For sure. Like to your point, if you share something with me, right? If you share, let's say, air quote, with the wrong person, right? A person who doesn't have the context, right? For who you are, what you're up to, all of a sudden they start maybe giving you advice, or they read your situation in a way that actually isn't what it is. Right. And they start giving you advice from who knows where. But what I'm saying is surrounding yourself with people who actually listen to you from your future, listen to you from the expanded version of yourself, listen to you from the vision of who you say you are, right? Then they're going to pull you up toward that, rather than be like, oh dude, you just need to get your fucking shit together, man. Or like, you know what I mean? Whatever It is, right?
So I'm present to our triad check-in.
Falling off the rails?
Well, it's consider it's off the rails, and it has been on the rails for a while, and that's fine. It is what it is. There was a transition, and what I think, I'm just kind of, it's like coming to me right now.
Thinking out loud, I got it.
It would be good to pick that up with intention again, and to bring a new listening, a new set of ears into the conversation. And I don't know if that's now with Heather again, or what that looks like. And I feel like now it's like ending a marriage, kind of, to say, yeah, we're going to go hang out with person X now. Or if she's part of it still. All I know is, and this may or may not be on the podcast, by the way, because I don't know if I
got it.
Yeah. That framework is critical. It works. And it works for not the reasons that you think they should work for. You get what I'm laying down? Like, even though we had objectives that we were aspiring to meet, and maybe we didn't hit all those objectives all the time.
That sounded like speed bumps. Blah, 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 blah. You're like, yeah, objectives.
It was necessary to have, and I think the time away is kind of like almost like a restart, right? Okay, let's see where we get to running through the labyrinth on our own for a bit. Yeah, coming out going, okay.
Well, I know exactly. Well, at least for me, my context of what you're pointing to is like, look at what I went through, my own personal stuff, for example, in the end of 2018. Like I was pretty close, man, to fucking just letting it rip off the rails. Like, be a bull in life and just say fuck it, and just, you know what I mean, like hulking out and shit.
Break shit. If
things work for me, great, and if they don't, I'll just break shit and then see what happens tomorrow, like that, right? And what you guys provided for me was just a space, man, to first of all, like, hold me to a high, like, look, if you're gonna be this way, it doesn't work. It's fine, and it doesn't work. One thing. Another thing is recognizing that, hey, we need to do something here. We need to take an action. We need to shift something. Hey, you know what we should do? Let's get together and have a strategy session and find out what the fuck's going on for the next 6 months or next year. Like, what are you up to? How can we support you? What do you need? And that's what had me see something, right? Leaders need to be willing to follow.
Right.
And that's what had me see something on December 14th, like, oh shit, I'm going to go head coach the Self-Expression Leadership Program. And that started a whole new, that program was fucking tough for me, man.
Oh, I bet.
You know what I mean? It was tough because I was really weak in the beginning, really weak, like fragile, Like, you know what I'm saying? And I was forced to.
The glass Hulk.
Yeah, like, fuck, man, I hope they don't find me out. You know what I'm saying? No, but I was forced to go, wait a minute. No, this is actually who I am. This is what I'm capable of. And when you're dealing with something mentally, when you're dealing with weakness, like letting the coward win, I can't fucking do this anymore, man. I can't do this. I think I'm done. That's actually the time right there when you get to look in the fucking mirror and find out what you're all about. Mm-hmm. Is the thing that you say you're out to cause that important? Because if it is, you'll be willing to go through that shit. You'll be willing to go through it and actually look at the reason why life wasn't working for me, bro, is because there was parts of my identity that I was completely attached to. And I'm still obviously trimming that off. But that's the point, is like, no, like, I can't go be that person. Because there's no way that the person I am today can be that person. Oh, you're saying I have to, like, let go of some of that. Some of those reasons.
Actually
those
be
excuses.
a different person.
Be a different person. Invent a whole new realm. That's what's scary.
Yeah, man, because everything that you're used to is back there. You know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
You know the outcome. It's safe, and instinctually we want to be safe. So we're fighting against instinct.
Bingo. Yeah.
It is. So we clearly got to reactivate it, right? And I want to create. Allah wants to be a part of it. He's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's.
Connect with that guy.
He's been inquiring about it a few times, and I haven't been sure. I just a lot of uncertainties, and I totally want him to. I had initially suggested he try something with Maya because she was trying to find one. Hers didn't really work out very well. Didn't last very long. I shouldn't say it didn't work out very well. And but Allah, he's up to tons of shit all the time. He's one of those guys, and he's got a great context and his enthusiasm around things.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty. What's the word I'm looking for? I keep a pretty neutral.
Yeah, you're level.
I'm a level guy.
Yeah.
And even when we all got our moments, obviously.
Totally.
But for the most part, my enthusiasm manages pretty evenly. Al, when he's excited about something, he really shows it.
Yeah.
And those types, that type of dynamic, that context for looking at. Every time I sit down with Allah, he's like, dude, you're such an inspiring guy, man. You always got stuff going on. You always blow my mind. I need more people like him around.
Yeah.
To remind me of what it is, the game that I'm trying to create here.
No doubt.
Versus be with me and fuck, he's mean.
Because, you know what, to your point about that is sometimes when you, like our relationship, right? Sometimes when you have a really good relationship with somebody, or sometimes your wife, whatever it is, that person supports you and they believe in you. And sadly, it's actually true that it starts to you don't hear it anymore.
It's kind of a given.
Yeah, you just know, I believe in you. I know you're up to big things.
And
we
need more than that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. You need someone else to come in and be like, oh, he's saying it too. So maybe there's some truth to this, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
You know? Yeah, and I know Al, his energy, man, is infectious. Like he can light up a room, you know.
Yeah, so we should definitely figure that out because I'm clear it needs to be reactivated.
Something that just popped in my head right now, because maybe for Heather, same thing, because she's got some people that are in her world that she's close to, and maybe it's not like you can't have a group with a woman or whatever, but maybe she creates a triad that has more women, or 2 women, 1 guy, whatever. But the point is, maybe we should talk to her about what would work. I think would be like, we schedule it ahead, and we do go back to our old school more, where we just get together and we just actually schedule it in quarterly, where we're doing a Thursday or a Friday, and we get together for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll schedule in the quarterly meet. I think it's meeting in person at that time also provides some really great context. I think I know what the episode's going to be called.
No shit. Yeah, man. That sounds like a good idea. Well, let's do that. Let's put that on the table, and because I think The other thing too is like really finding a time that really works. You know,
that's always a moving target, right?
Yeah, for sure. And just so that, because I would assert that this part's going to be on the podcast, just so that, you know, people have context, what we're talking about is we were involved for, what is it, like a year and a half probably?
Yep.
And we've talked about it in the podcast before, but a triad group where we would chat. It seems to be 3 is the magic number. We would chat 3 times a week for at least 45 minutes, and just, you know, sometimes it was just a check-in about what's going on. Sometimes it was like coaching and supporting each other. Sometimes it was just
celebrating the wins,
or you just need an ear, right? So it just had that, you're able to, there has been countless amount of times where I was not prepared for today. Like, I just, you know what, we're going to get through today. Okay. And we're going to get through this call on Wednesday morning
totally.
at 8:30, right?
Oh, man.
And by the end of the call, I'm like, okay, let's get after it. Ready to take, you know what I mean? Ready to take on life because of that.
They're so necessary for that.
Yeah, it made a big difference.
Yeah. Highly recommend finding your own group. We run a structure that I've put together. You can just doing that action of coming together intentionally for 45 minutes to talk about just what you said, wherever you are in your scheduling and planning process or whatever structures you got in place, that will make the difference. It'll move you to that next milestone, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So when you're working through things and you're dealing with shit on your own all the time, you have a tendency to take things out of context. And when you're hanging with people that got your back, they fucking put you back in your place.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Can you get back in the driver's seat?
Yeah.
Your car is careening off the road.
Put your seatbelt on.
You dumbass. No, you're facing the wrong way. Oh.
Yeah, man, that's it. Okay, well, I guess we got somewhere.
We always do. We always get somewhere. There's always a place to get to, you know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah, totally. Get your shit together.
Oh, you know what I did?
It's a beast, yeah.
Last weekend.
What did you did?
I went to the bunker. Hung out with Keith.
Oh.
And recorded one of my poems.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shit, son.
The big one, the like 30-minute one, where I just keep going on and on and on.
Is that what you have it as?
No. I'm totally being sarcastic. I only did one take on it. Now, I've been practicing this thing for like a year, so one take is like one take this week,
right?
And wherever the fuck ups happened, like where the words didn't come out or I missed something, I just took a couple seconds and then backed it up and did it again, right in the moment, just kept going. And he's like, man, I don't. There aren't many that come into that room and are able to do that like you did it.
Right.
Most are completely taken off the rails, completely flustered, and now it's like 20 minutes just to get right back into the mode again. Eh? And it was one take, literally one take, after we timed the mics and stuff. And my little girl was there recording.
Oh, nice.
On the phone.
That's
so she
awesome.
was in the studio with me.
What a cool experience.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know if she. You know what? I've promised her to come on to the podcast forever. And it would be different to actually experience the mic because she's seen mics everywhere, right? There's the podcast. That one was super cool because it's just so much more to look at, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what the experience was for her. And kids, they don't have... Sometimes it's hard for them to express what it is that they were going through.
Yeah.
Anyways... It was a super cool experience.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. Well, I'd love to hear what he puts together with that.
Oh, and you know what? Oh my God. So my very, very first one I had sent, this is when at the very beginning when I was trying this out, I had sent it over to him and he sampled it with like beats and sound effects and things like that. It was super dope.
Oh, is that right? Sick. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know if I ever showed this to you. He's just playing around with samples and sound bites and stuff.
Wow.
So he had me on a loop saying a couple things over and over again. Super funny.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Very
man.
confronting. Like, oh dear, that could be a thing.
Wow.
I'm working on another one too.
Do you know what I'm just kind of thinking about right now, man?
No, I don't.
Do you know what I'm thinking about? We say weird shit, eh? Or at least I do.
Well, we all do.
Check this out. Okay, so I'm formulating this as I'm saying it, okay? Like, we're content creators.
Yes.
Right? You're a creator. You have extreme value to offer the world, as do I, as does Aaron. And, we all do. The reality of it is every single person walking around right now has like a best-selling novel in their head from their experience of their life, their context for living, all that. It's there. And, a lot of times, like let's say, for example, we're in episode 71. There was many times throughout this journey already that we've could have quit.
There was a few close calls.
There absolutely was. And I know that, we've talked about it, but I'm sure there's still things that went unsaid about like how close it actually was. Right. And, we'd look back and go, oh yeah, man, David and I used to have a podcast. We ran like 20 episodes. It was pretty cool. Right. And that's what it would have been. Right.
That's right.
And I assert that there's something deeper within both of us that will not allow us to do that.
Totally.
In one form or another, we're going to keep showing up. And that's my point. So what would it now look like? Because I was thinking about this last night. Remember I said I was recording some just random, ridiculous videos. I'll show you some of them.
All right.
I was thinking, well, what if I have my Instagram right now. I kind of have a mix of like business, family, and just random shit, right? That's kind of me, my profile. What if I just created an Instagram where I get to be silly?
Totally.
And I can tell people that it exists, but I don't necessarily want all these ridiculous, silly videos or
what's
videos.
What's your handle going to be?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying, right? So now I'm thinking about, even for you, we've got this podcast. Now, of course, we need the infrastructure and the work and whatnot, but there's really nothing stopping us from having another podcast or something where because sometimes we have some funny moments on here. We could do some ridiculous shit and just talk about stupid things or get high and, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Other thing about like, what about video? What about just starting a YouTube channel or Instagram that's just purely David's fucking video log, video journal? Hey, you know what? It's a fucking dark day in paradise, folks. Not feeling good. What are you thinking about right now? Hit me up. Send me a message. I need support. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, just had this epiphany. This is fucking crazy. Listen in. That's what I'm saying. So you're a content creator and you're naturally a person that makes a difference and needs to be out there in front of people. And there's like a countless amount of mediums that could be done. And I said all that to say this. How many, and it's not that you're trying to be like a world-class YouTuber or whatever, but the point is it would be pretty dope to be doing this full time and getting paid for it. Yeah?
Totally.
So how many people who have done podcasts, YouTube, stand-up, whatever project was a creative expression of who they actually are, how many times have they tried before they did something that was really successful?
So many.
So, you know what I mean? That's something that is like, let's flip the script and start looking at things from a different lens and start trying some shit out. This is our first shot at audio medium, right?
Well, and on that note, Podbean's now providing live feed audio.
Ooh.
So I'm going to sign up for that. There's like a I don't know, it's an opt-in to tap into it, to make it available. They get details about the time of your podcast and what your podcast talk, blah, 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 blah. But it's a live feed. So now people can listen into it in real time. Because there is, man. As a content creator, I feel compelled to and shackled at the same time. I feel compelled to share and shackled that, these shackles that stop me from doing it.
Say more about that.
I'm not, I got to figure stuff out first. I got to be more intentional about what my message is.
You know what you sound like? What are those things? Oh shit, hold on a second. Oh yeah, human beings. That's right. Yeah, you sound just like a fucking human being. Yeah. So that's great. Dude, I totally get that. I mean, part of the shackles that I have is exactly that. I've been talking to you about this for a long time. Bro, if I really cut it loose and let it out, people aren't going to get me. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, whoa, this guy's not a quote unquote professional. I had a guy reach out to me about my LinkedIn profile. And he goes, hey man, I need to know more about you. And this is like a 55-year-old man. That's like, awesome. He's like, who are you? Like, what's your deal? because he looked at kind of what I did for business. And then he's like, what's this GYST Life thing? And I talked to him a little bit about that. And he just said, like, he started to talk to me about the level. This is something that you got to own. He's like, he goes, Vern, you're operating at a different level of awareness. Like, when I read your LinkedIn and I saw, whoa, wait, let me stop you there. Before you read too further, your time is important. Like, this is how my LinkedIn starts out. And then it's like, before you ultimately decide if I'm cool enough for you to send a connection to, like, read the next, I got a couple questions for you or something like that. It's like, first question, do you care about cool shit?
Oh, you use that? That's
right?
So great.
And then the next question was like, do you thrive to like live your best life and then enjoy seeing others around you do the same? And if you answered no to either of those questions, your work here is done. Right? And if you answered yes, keep reading. Right? And he's like, dude, he's like, that's next level. Right? Because I'm kind of poking fun at the human being. Mm-hmm. Right? We're all creeping on each other. Ooh, what's this guy got going on? Da 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 da. Like all like that. Right? Hey, I'm just gonna come right out of the gate and let you know who I am and what I'm looking for. If you're a superficial, surfacey bullshit person, I keep walking. That's all I'm trying to say.
And it makes a difference.
Yeah, and it had an impact on him, so it was pretty cool.
Just on a side note, because I forget, like I'm hearing you talk, and if we don't have somebody managing the camera, if you're talking, just like casually bring the camera to you, because otherwise I'm sitting there listening to you, and then 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh,
it's a video of David's reaction to Vern talking.
I should have pointed the camera somewhere.
I got the same thing. You did that earlier. You turned the camera to me as I was finishing, and then you started talking, and I'm just like sitting there, like being recorded, listening to you.
Yeah, it's weird. It should be automatic. Actually, they do have one where I don't know how it works, but I'm assuming based on voice, it'll move the camera to pick up the voice, something like that.
So I get we're getting close to time, but something for me is starting to emerge. Something's starting to emerge for me about you and myself, like what is possible. And I'm going through my own journey right now with my business, and I'm starting to do things, bro, that I'm surprising myself.
That's awesome.
And the way that I'm speaking to people, and to my point earlier about experience and having gone through it, I'm like, oh, I've been practicing this for a long time, and I've been actually doing it, and now I'm starting to speak to it.
Now you're in the court with it.
Yeah, I'm in the court with it, and I'm like getting people at a different level, and they're listening to me from a different place of like, yeah, I want your help. I need your support. I've spoke to some people this week that I would say normally I'd be massively intimidated by, and I made a difference for them. Like they're enrolled, and I'm like, damn. So
there is a fine line between what you're experiencing and what I'm experiencing.
Right.
And here's the thing that I'm experiencing. There's this pull to like close the book. Chapter's over. It's that story is done. And now starting from zero again. Mm-hmm. Not knowing, and this has been the struggle. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you're going to be working somewhere or for someone, your purpose has changed, and you must now seek to find again, which is bullshit.
It's bullshit, 100%.
And there's a real pull to just don't do this stuff anymore. Yeah. Because the game's different now, and those tools aren't going to work.
Dude, I've had my version of that conversation so many times, and this is what you said there supports what I'm saying perfectly. That's exactly what I'm trying to create with you, is like, okay, what would it look like you and I have a conversation about those roadblocks, about those stops, and then go, okay, what is the I'm trying, it's a gray, I'm trying to describe something gray. Mm-hmm. But there's something that has occurred for me in my conversations, in my meetings, that's like, oh, like it's sort of like a next level. I'm seeing a peek into the future of that person that I'm creating. I'm like, oh, so that's what I'm saying for you. It's like, what is that thing? And I would assert that it has something to do with creating content and giving people an expanded context for living.
Yes.
Right?
That's what I think it's inside of that that inevitable retreat, and like that's part of the evolution.
Totally. And how much badass content can we develop with something like that?
Dude, I'm super excited by that stuff.
And it doesn't matter if you're working in a job or you're running a business. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah. And you have a purpose.
Yeah. So really, thank you, Vern, for recreating a context for how our lives go and the directions that they take. I'm clear. I need to be in communication with the people that really hold me higher than I at times hold myself. And it's easily forgotten. So I don't know, what are some takeaways from your side? How would you talk about what's happened?
Yeah, man. For me, some major takeaways for me in this episode, and really it's such a tie into from my week. You know, that's what these episodes wind up being for us, which is great. And it's all of that. It's, you know, the human experience, things being real in the moment, and it's about getting out of your way, being willing to follow and reach out for some fucking support from the people who really got your back and who believe in you, so that you can get back on your horse, get back connected to your purpose, and
being completely paralyzed by the thing that you're not in service of. For everybody listening, it's just that there are constantly these views that we look at our life from, and the one really the takeaway from here is changing it from let's get through it to let's get after it. What are you going after, and keep in the pursuit of it? You're going to hit it. It's inevitable.